Welcome back to the Uncle Bob Crypto Podcast number 24, and today's guest is Scott Melker, aka the Wolf of All Streets. Scott Melker is a very, very popular trader on Twitter, but he also had a career before trading. He was a DJ, and he played alongside legends from every musical genre, including Enrique Iglesias, Future, Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa, Sheryl Crow, Jason Derulo, Public Enemy, Kanye West, Rihanna, Lupe Fiasco, the list goes on. He played huge venues, events and festivals around the world and performed at private events for celebrities such as Billy Joel, Britney Spears, Mariah Carey and Barack Obama. So if you stick on Twitter, you'll know Scott as the Wolf of All Streets, and his account is now approaching 100,000 followers. He's widely considered to be one of the most popular traders on Twitter. Trained under the tutelage of Texaswest capital, Scott has an uncanny knack of getting the trade right. And even though he's a heavy hitter in the crypto world, he still finds time to chat to the smaller accounts. He has a newsletter called the Wolf Den Crypto Newsletter, which focuses on everything cryptocurrency and trading and is heavily focused on analysis, charts and education, lessons on trading, psychology and emotion. I do hope you enjoy the interview as much as I did. Enjoy.
I really appreciate it.
So, thanks for coming on the show.
That was quite the intro. That was seriously quite the intro. I feel like I should have come out in like
you deserve it.
I should be coming out in a robe and like boxing shorts.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Give you an entrance, an entrance tune, because to be honest, you've taken the Twitter world, the crypto Twitter world by storm. You've come not out of nowhere, but kind of, and you've taken your place. You are the heavyweight champion of the world. Well, you're much loved, and although I know you get a few trolls in the space, I don't know, you always got time. I don't know where you find the time to do all the tweeting. You and McAfee are on a par. You can just do it. You're like plate spinners. Tell us about your journey, first of all, from music into crypto and how you got into crypto.
Yeah, I mean, it just started when I was younger as a trader in general, stocks, obviously. And then, like anyone else, I tested Forex, I tested options. I've been through all of it. Even as a kid, I was buying stocks. So, I went to college, I went to the University of Pennsylvania. And when I was there, everyone was super into finance. It was the late 90s. It was like the Wall Street boom. And that place was sort of the breeding ground for Wall Street. So money, 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 money. It's kind of just was the environment that I was in. So I was always into investing and trading, but I wanted to be a DJ. So
wow.
I passed on, job offers to go to Wall Street. And decided to pursue a career in DJing. That's the simple path, a simple story for the path. I had a lot of other side ventures along the way and a lot of other things that I was working on. I started a few businesses that I bought, sold, failed, succeeded at various different things. And then, as you alluded to, I guess in the intro, I had a pretty blessed music career, found myself in some pretty awesome situations and had a lot of fun. But at a certain point, I guess I just I don't know if I aged out, I became too old for it, or I just sort of lost the passion and flair. And then having a family and having a kid, I didn't want to be on the road anymore. And all those things sort of came together for me, definitely not wanting to be DJing, as a profession anymore. It's a really, as glamorous and fun as it sounds when you talk about it, it's not the easiest life in the world. Being on the road all the time, never sleeping, everyone wants to party all the time. It just, I was way too old, just was not really that interesting to me anymore. So that kind of, just sort of serendipity that happened at the same time that I got introduced to crypto, kind of late 2016. And I got into it for the same reason as everyone else at that time. I mean, I guess there's that small percentage who really believed in the use case and all of that, but I wanted to make money and I love trading. And it was like this trader's paradise. The volatility was there, these insane gains you'd never seen before in other markets. And, I kind of got into it for that and then actually became a bit more interested in the actual tech, as they say, in it for the tech. And the actual, the use case, which I think we're largely seeing now with the global economy meltdown and things like that. So, I guess I just sort of transitioned. I alienated everyone from my life who thought that I was still into music, who was following me for that reason on any social media. I'm just the kind of person who, if I get into something, that's what I talk about. That's what I do. And I guess, so there's this sort of like seismic shift in who my following was. And, I guess people, for whatever reason, enjoy the content, or, could found that I was easy to engage with, or for whatever, reason. And it's kind of gone from there. So that's how we arrived where we are.
Wow. I mean, it's an interesting story. I guess the word that came into my mind when you were talking about that was vocation. A vocation is a strong feeling of suitability for a particular career or occupation. It sounded like, for all intents and purposes, you should have taken the route into Wall Street, but you went with your heart. It was a vocation. It was something you wanted to do. It was a passion. I had the same when I was at school. I was in a band. I left university to be in a band. Looking back, maybe a wrong move. At the time, though, it was with my heart, my soul. It kind of feels like this crypto Twitter thing is, and then you moved, obviously had a family, a vocation again. And then you've got into crypto Twitter. It kind of feels the same again. It almost feels like you're meant to be here. Am I right?
I mean, I'm glad you perceive it that way. Definitely. I don't know. I feel like my life has always flowed sort of in that manner. I don't think that I'm psychologically suitable to have a real job. Like, I do not take well to authority. I don't.
Or any of us, Scott.
Right, but I have ADD. Like I don't excel in an extremely structured environment. Like a cubicle to me is like a cage. I just couldn't see it. So it was less about it was largely about making a passionate decision towards my passion, as you said, but it was also just about understanding myself, and that I probably would have failed in that environment, or at least I thought that I would have. So I've always just sort of like ridden the wave and followed everything where it took me. Crypto Twitter, this whole thing was never my intention. It was never contrived. Honestly, when I started talking about crypto, I didn't know that crypto Twitter existed. I wasn't really aware of the community. It was just like, I was into it. So I was talking to people who would listen, and then it became this kind of huge thing. And that was never my intention.
It really is. It's amazing, actually. It's amazing. And you know what? Fair dues to you, right? You're pretty much always on the money. I'll hand it to you. And your newsletter, I get it all the time. I don't trade anymore. I can get the information, but I don't act on the information.
That's true of almost everyone, though.
Yeah. And that's because I guess I gamble more than I trade.
But I commented on the exact thing the other day on Twitter, which is that you get this constant criticism that if you're a good enough trader, why would you be doing anything else? You see it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're such a good trader, why do you have a newsletter? Or why do you teach? Or why do you? And the answer is that, and the other criticism being that if you're a trader, you would never want to give away your edge, right? Like, if you tell everybody what your edge is, all of a sudden you don't have an edge. And I think it's the most laughable thing in the world, for the exact reason that you just touched on, which is trading is a largely individual pursuit. It's a competition with yourself. It's something that you have to learn to do emotionally and be able to handle on your own. So it doesn't matter how much somebody tells you something until you experience and feel it yourself. And just like you said, you can read it. You can have 100 people tell you, do this, control it, don't stare at it, and what you're inevitably going to do, because in your heart, you and everyone else are in this mostly because it's gambling, are like, you start to panic in the middle of the trade, your emotions take over, you take profit too early, you sell right at the moment that it reverses. It's a very natural thing, and everyone does it, and nobody can teach you that. They can tell you it, but they can't teach you it until you've experienced it enough that either your behavior changes or you quit. Yeah.
Did you find having a mentor helped in that, or do you actually? Sometimes I feel like traders actually most people think successful traders are, they love taking risks. They love kind of like being on that tightrope. It's actually the opposite. Most of the best traders that I see are conservative. They know how to manage risk. They're risk averse, not risk they're not inviting it.
That's absolutely right. What they sell you, what people sell you, the Lambos and the watches and the fast lifestyle that's the scam, right? You're right. To be a good trader, you have to turn it into something that's extremely boring and emotionless. So it's really quite the opposite of what you said. It's not like, shouldn't be like gambling, and it shouldn't be like, that addiction to the crazy life. For me, it's something that I'm like a robot, like I set it and forget it. And if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I know that I have a system in place that if I let it run long enough, the winners will, outdo the losers, and I'll grind it out. It's like any professional poker player who, finds that sort of system for themselves. They'll tell you that it's just a grind. Get that $200 here, that 3% here, that 5% here. And every once in a while you might hit a home run and really make your year on one or two, trades, or one or two huge games for a poker player. I think you're absolutely right. I think the only thing that matters in trading is the way you manage your risk. Risk aversion is what makes you money.
Okay, let's give you a little surprise question. Scott, what comes to mind when I give you the words side hustle?
My entire life.
Okay, next one.
Everything I've ever done is a side hustle that turned into a
DJ years.
Just what comes to my mind.
Yeah.
I think of the early 2000s, 2010. Fun.
Okay. Micro caps.
Shitcoins.
Grandfather.
That's a tough one. He was a stockbroker. I'll leave it at that one.
An interesting guy by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Lockdown.
Sucks.
New York.
Heaven.
Meaning of life.
Happiness.
Favorite tune.
Let's Stay Together by Al Green.
All right, let's get that one on the go. Okay, let's finish these off. House music.
Detroit.
Health.
Wealth.
Gambling.
Vegas.
Set this up. Tron.
Great 80s movie, not even on my radar for crypto yet.
Artist.
Al Green.
That's right. Oh,
I'll give artist Al Green.
BitMEX.
Casino.
Bitcoin.
Future.
Stockbroker.
Working man.
I'm proud of. Complete the sentence.
My family.
I'm excited about. Complete the sentence.
The future.
Crypto.
Everything. I'm the most excitable person.
Nearly there.
Everything.
Crypto banks.
Crypto banks. Meaningless.
CrossFit.
Pain.
Organization.
Not my thing.
The art of trading.
Technical analysis.
Podcasting.
Enlightening.
Hip hop.
Golden years.
Politics.
For someone else.
Nearly there. Got 5 more. Favorite film.
Pulp Fiction. This song.
Wow. Timekeeping.
Difficult.
COVID-19.
Shit show.
Family. Last one.
Everything.
That's all from the Scott Melker interview. I thought I'd leave it there. It said it all. And yeah, if you want to reach him, you can find him on Twitter @Scott Melker. He also has links there to his podcast, which is really good, and he also has a link to his newsletter, the Wolf's Den newsletter. You can get that 3 times a week. Trading advice, TA, analysis, everything. But yeah, that's all from me, and I'll see you soon on the next podcast. In the meantime, I'll leave you with Scott's favourite song, Let's Stay Together.